If you've been hankering to see the pros in person, head over to lolesports.com and reserve your spot in our studio audience. And tickets are now available for our upcoming NALCS Spring Playoff Semifinals. Just click the tickets link for all the details. And we are readying the rift for our next match. It is Team Liquid versus Cloud9. Both of these teams have had flashes of brilliance this split, you could say, but have not been able to turn that into consistent performances yet.
Yeah, Cloud9, they're usually a really composed team, but at IEM Katowice, they came out and their first game, they made quite a few reckless moves, and they showed a lot of desperation when I don't think they really needed to. And Cloud9, they've been so good for so long that it's really been hard to whittle down the team's morale, but the cracks are starting to show after some really tough back-to-back losses. I hope that they can keep their composure now, playing back on their home soil. Yeah. And on a new patch, really where they thrive, innovating stuff right when the game changes.
See if the notebook comes out big here. Meanwhile, Team Liquid were on a bit of a hot streak, upsetting the #1 Team Solo Mid, but they ended Week 7 going 0-2 against Team 8 and Impulse, who we just saw.
Yeah, despite the setback, I Will Dominate says that the team's environment is the best that it's ever been. Plus, with 5.5 shaking up the metagame, I think that this may be the time for Team Liquid to shine. Dominate has always been a huge fan of Nunu specifically, who did get a pretty big buff with the release of Cinderhulk, and it would inherently move his playstyle, more towards that support peel styling jungle. And enable him to buff up whichever AD carry they decide to play with, either Piglet or Keith, which this time around is going to be Piglet.
It is going to be Piglet. So let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's Team Liquid. That's Quas in the top lane, Dominate in the jungle, Phoenix in mid, Piglet at AD carry, Nick Special at support.
And on the red side, it's Cloud9. Up top is Balls. In the jungle, Meteos. Mid to high, AD carry Sneaky, and support Lemon Nation.
And as we look to get into this game, something I thought was funny the other day when I was thinking it is like EasyHoon and Faker switch out all the time. And like people switch in NA and we're like, whoa! People are switching in NA. But I think that puts a lot of pressure on the guys as well, right? Because then they're like, whoa, I'm just kind of going into play again. This is my job here.
Yeah, these SKT members having a rough time on the bench. But he's back in on the starting lineup. There are the two coaches. Yep. Charlie with another hair change.
Peter and Charlie. Well, yeah, the red. I think the red was for Katowice.
Well, he's matched it with his shirt this time around.
He has.
Looking sharp, Charlie. Now, really, Cloud9 is one of my favorite teams to watch after a new patch, just because Lemon Nation specifically comes up with a lot of interesting things to try out. The latest thing that he was trying out in solo queue was that support Nautilus that everybody has been hyping up. And I talked to a lot of the supports, even Xpecial specifically. He was trying it as well. So both of these guys I know have a lot of support Nautilus experience recently. It's definitely not as big of a game changer as Janna before Worlds that Gorilla brought out and then everybody jumped on it, or the support Veigar that just exploded out of Asia. It's a pretty decent pick in the support role, but it's not a giant game changer. I mean, Nautilus does have very good bully potential or kill lanes. So it's similar to playing other kill lanes, except that Nautilus has a lot more damage really early on now.
Great peel too.
Yeah, and on paper it looks really good because he's got so many forms of CC. Even his passive applies to CC. If you count the anchor grab as a CC, then he's got 4 in his kit. So he could bring a lot of utility to the game if they decide to field that in the support role this time around.
Yeah, and talking to the teams, Xpecial has a lot of respect for Lemon Nation, but he feels confident in their matchup.
Lemon's a smart player. He often, if he finds something that he thinks is really strong, he'll play a lot and spam and like with the Veigar pick. Actually, I played it first in solo queue. I copied some other guy in solo queue, but point is, I didn't think it was strong enough to warrant a constant pick, and I kind of regret that now. But he was the first one in NA to really pick up on that, and he's a smart player. He's a smart guy, good at the game, but I'm not afraid of him at all.
I like how he snuck that in there. I played Veigar support first before Lemon played it. Copied some other guy from solo queue. By the way, there's a guy in high-rated North American solo queue who has support Veigar in his name for a long time and had played it for a very long time. Both Lemon Nation and Xpecial jumping on those
everybody always
newer
thinks it's
support
them
picks.
first.
If we're gonna call out, who did what first, I gotta give a shout out to my boy Elements, who's been retired for a very long time. He played support Nautilus a year ago, more than a year ago.
Yeah, he did.
So it was definitely a different champion at that point.
Didn't he actually try
once
pro?
it changed, but technically, yeah.
Yeah,
Elements
I remember that now.
played support Nautilus first. So, both of you.
Elements the player, not Elements the team. Right. Just to make sure.
Yeah,
Some people may not.
Yeah, all these new kids.
It's been a while.
These kids these days, they don't know their.
Look, you see this gray? Well, we're just about to get into game, waiting on Team Liquid as well to get themselves set and ready, and then the players are going to get themselves going.
Yeah, I think Phoenix was just complaining about some lag.
Yep.
We don't want to have any more problems once we get into any of the games here. This is a very, very big matchup for both of these teams, trying to push into the upper echelon. Let's see if they can do it. Recently dethroned from their number 4 spot.
That's right.
Team Liquid really want to grab that back.
Just saw Quas on your screen as well. He has been a huge pillar for this team in the top lane.
Truly.
So many different champions over so many different games. You really can't try to focus this guy out. You don't know what he's going to play, and it's a nice variety to have, especially from a lane that's kind of just been off.
I know you're a fan because his Kennen.
All the Kennen. I've been loving the Kennen coming back.
It was beautiful.
Bring me Kennen, more Ori.
He also, I know, he's definitely one of the more diverse champion pools. We saw the Fizz attempt at a carry. I don't think that will go back to that because they didn't really have that much success outside of the 1 versus 1 laning phase of the game.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially since they're fielding Piglet this time around, as I said before, I feel like Team Liquid should go with an AD carry-centric team composition. Not only do they want to buff up Piglet, but as we went over, the jungle changes are great for Dominate. He loves Nunu. They could easily pull out a Lulu as well. Those types of team comps, I feel, are so strong in the new meta that's filled with tanks. Because the team fights go so much longer, and because there's so much focus on keeping up the AD carry, because there's so many there aren't as many other sources of damage. I just feel like those are going to pull away. The Death Ball comps or the Juggernaut comps or whatever you want to refer to them as. I feel like those are really going to rise in popularity, and Team Liquid are a perfect team to pull it out.
The synergy is there for them. Hopefully it comes in the late game where we see kind of that positioning falling apart, because they have, individually, it seems like they can take all those fights and just turn the other team into mincemeat. But then you're like, wait a minute, how did they fall behind? How did this happen? And you just kind of see, oh, it happened in every lane. And you're right. We'll have to see if they can get it out. However, right now we are experiencing some technical difficulties. And like we did see just a second ago, the referees here at the LCS are tasked with facilitating the players and getting them into the game, as well as protecting the competitive integrity of LCS. The upside is they get some of the best seats in the house. Check it out.
My name's Raven Keene. I'm the League Ops Coordinator, and I'm also the head ref of the LCS. The top 3 things that a ref needs to do when he's on the stage is you really need to pay attention and listen to what the players are saying. Another big issue is looking for bugs. Also, really trying to make sure the transitions are really good in between the games. We're like that first line of defense to make sure everything keeps going and the games stay fair and competitive, and we can just put on a really good show. Like, for example, some things that maybe the fans don't know is that we actually have a technology we call the voice of God, and it's something that we get to actually listen to the players the whole game, and we can talk to the players as well. A lot of the times you can hear them discussing, like, if there's an issue, like I'm having an issue, I can't touch my W key and it's not working. We can see that and we can communicate that to the back. We want to cut through, make things move fast, make sure we get the games to you at the best pace we can. We want everything to be smooth for broadcasting, keep everything flowing. We don't want everyone to have super long delays sitting at home waiting for the next game to start. The best part of being a ref is just, it's really, I'm a fan to the core. And you get to sit there behind the players, you get to see a completely different perspective, and it's just invigorating to be on stage and being a part of that. And it's something that I just can't get enough of.
And wouldn't you know it, they fixed it as soon as we went to that video.
Yes.
Go refs. Poised and ready. Cannot be moved. Look like a stone.
All right.
Can't be moved. Competitive
Well.
integrity at its best. And we are about to get into Champion Select, and we'll see what kind of competition these two teams will pit against each other here as we get into Champion Select. Everything suited up 110%. So let's get ready to go. Cloud9 has had quite a few high priority picks towards balls and high over the past few weeks. They keep getting that Rumble, they keep getting that Zed, sometimes the Kennen as well for high, but that will actually be banned out by them, respecting that from Quas.
Yeah, don't want to give it up. All right, so very, very standard bans here from Team Liquid for anybody facing Cloud9. The obvious Rumble for balls and a Zed for high. Really just trying to take out specific picks targeted at the players. Very standard here. They give one to each.
Yeah.
The top 3 players for Cloud9 in the draft order each get 1 ban, and those are taken off. Meanwhile here, Cloud9 taking out a lot of the AoE picks that Team Liquid have gone towards. Taking down the Morgana. Maybe we will end up seeing a support Nautilus, actually. Black Shield, one of the biggest deterrents for that.
Huh. Okay.
All right, so the Lulu pick's not going to be there. So the true buffing of an AD carry-centric composition has been taken out. I think that's a really good call by Cloud9 to take that away from Team Liquid and away from Piglet, or anyone looking to buff up Piglets. But man, the 2 immediate lock-ins here, very, very high priority top lane champions. Taking away Lissandra as well, since High can play at mid, really does limit Quas. However, as we said, very deep champion pool. Should be fine. The Rek'Sai, pretty much premier jungler right now. Sejuani is up, though, and she is extremely strong in the current meta as well. That would provide a ridiculous front line for Cloud9.
And crowd control. What a lockdown composition Cloud9 would have with that. Lissandra already played by high in the mid lane as we see a Mundo getting locked in over here by Liquid.
This is one of Quas's mainstays. This is one of the original champions that he was known for.
Quas a boss.
Right. You know, it's almost up there with like the Quas Swain, right? His Mundo, he really likes playing this champion. And it is just sort of another tank in the meta. Percentage health damage, can get very, very beefy, is against the double AP. And so we'll see if an early Morella Namicon shows itself. There is the support Nautilus.
Bing, bang, boom.
I mean, technically they can still flex it over to jungle if they really want to. Meteos probably would not like that champion though. Definitely would slow down his play. Nautilus, pretty much one of the slowest, if the slowest champion in the game. And Meteos is not really a fan of that style. Lemon Nation, though, let's see how he is able to move. Maybe they can get some all-ins in the bottom lane. It's interesting that he picks the support Nautilus even after the Janna was shown, though. Because Janna plus pretty much anything is fairly good at dealing with Nautilus. It was actually one of the specific champions that Special listed, you know, during his testing of support Nautilus. He really felt like Janna was a good answer to it. We'll see, though, because there is a very strong frontline from Cloud9 and a lot of hard engage. So Special will be hard-pressed to get some strong ultimates off once they get to the teamfight phase.
Ooh. Very interesting composition from Liquid. I cannot wait to see how they control this one. Like you were saying, with those fights, if they don't get it immediately, everyone's locked down by Lissandra, by Maokai, by a Nautilus. It's going to be very tough here as Cloud9 round out the composition. I don't even know where it's going to go.
And the thing is here, I really do like the last 2 picks here from Team Liquid. Very, very high threats. 2 extremely high damage dealing champions here.
Yeah.
Kalista, if you're unable to lock her down and she survives in one of these longer teamfights where the teamfights are trending to be longer and longer because there's so many tanks, that AoE, if she goes with the Runon's build, which Piglet most definitely will at some point in this game, then the sustained damage here from Cassiopeia and Kalista will get very, very strong if they're unable to lock them down. But again, another lockdown tool. Cloud9 really looking for another target Piglet or Phoenix comp right here.
Somewhat of a similar comp they ran against Liquid last time.
Yeah.
They had the Vi, they had a Lissandra, but they had an Annie at support. You can somewhat still get that out of depth charge. It's not a flash depth charge, but you're still going to get that. So
there's a lot of pressure on Special
good composition
to perform with this Janna. And Quas is going to try and body block as many of these engages as possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, you cannot body block Vi or the depth charge from Nautilus, so something is going to land on one of the two carries.
Well, let's see if Cloud9 can shake off what happened here at IM Katowice. Like we said, they went a little crazy. They did have a really good early game against the GE Tigers. Well, an early start against the GE Tigers, and then got a little in their own heads, I think. I think what just happened.
Yeah,
like that.
the early game, we're definitely going to keep an eye on the early game. You know, Meteor specifically, what types of dives he goes for, because maybe the experience at Katowice turns him extremely passive in the
That's
early
true.
game. He might go back
Could
to
put
his
that
hard
wall
farming
up.
style.
So while the teams are loading in, the game is starting. Let's get the votes going and who you think will come out on top. Tweet hashtag TLWin or hashtag C9Win to @LOL Esports, and we'll tally those up throughout the game. Coming into this one, a little fun stat. We usually don't keep track of the kills on supports, but Lemonation is very close. You need 4 more kills to hit 100, but he's also at 98 games. So if he can do this in 100 and 100, that would be pretty impressive.
So he's
2
got
games to get 4 kills.
tall task.
Tall
Not
task.
a tall task for Nautilus.
No,
Nautilus is well equipped.
might actually be able to make
As
it
we've
happen off the
we've
spot.
seen so far this week, Nautilus is well equipped to grab kills. And it's another thing that you do always want to keep track of when you have support like Nautilus is the roaming. Any chance that Cloud9 do get to buy time for Lemonation to start roaming and make plays, especially mid lane here,
Can
would
do
be
it.
huge.
100 kills in 100 games. Can you do it, Lemon? Let's see. The wards get placed. He was probably not seen, but his ward was. It's creepy.
All right.
I like that Mundo skin. It's a good one. It's like Hellboy Mundo.
Reminds me of Axe.
Starting the Ruby Crystal health bots top lane for Quas.
Yeah, he used to do that, you know, even last year when we saw him when he was still in Challenger, the Challenger League up at PAX. He would go multiple health crystals, and that's even better now that health crystals can easily be upgraded into Giant's Belts. He's not even limiting his build path with that style. 2 versus 1 swap, though. Not a surprise coming from Cloud9. Pretty big fans here. They do see the late invade because it was a good ward there from Team Liquid in the river.
For a second, I was thinking Meteos is walking in by himself,
Up down.
but that's Lemonation.
Yeah, he's got a big bodyguard here.
Yeah. No, it's just Nautilus. The support. Piglet, he's going to say, hey, how's it going? High five to Meteos. Gets himself out. And they're able to clean up the ghost as well. So actually it looks like Special wants a little bit more of this. Just the deep ward.
Drat.
Drat, indeed. So it looks like back to Phoenix. Raven's going to be controlling that one as well. We just heard from him in the video. So starting this one off, junglers, or rather both teams know of the swap, and junglers going on with the top laners. So we'll see who can respond best to this. Like we said, we're still watching for the early game from Cloud9, mostly Meteos due to that play at IM Katowice here. And see what Liquid can do with Piglet back.
Yeah, I don't expect him to go for any dives, especially that he's Vi. So he'll probably be more towards vision control, more towards farming, and dominate on Rek'Sai. Will have a lot more opportunity to pull out some early plays. As we saw, though, the Cloud9 duo with that invade, they did take the small golems off of the blue buff when they invaded. Those things, a lot of money, almost half of the money and the experience of the buff camps was shifted over to the small ones that are next to it. So that's a great steal away for any duo lane. Sometimes teams will even feed their own, small monsters over to their duo lanes at the beginning of the game to give them a little experience boost, surprise factor in lane. With the lane swap, it's merely just about taking away from Team Liquid, though, for Cloud9. And we'll have to keep our eyes on how the lane swap does eventually play out here. Obviously, especially is trying to keep track of the jungle vision here.
So how much harder does it actually make for, I mean, it gets it's a 2v1 now, so it'd be even scarier. But when you have that Nautilus support, what's that kind of do to a jungler on the opposing team to try and gank a Nautilus lane with that 80 carry?
Yeah, it's very similar to ganking other kill lanes because Nautilus is usually looking for those all-ins.
Okay.
If they have, a gap in vision, then you can use that against them. But you have to be so careful because Nautilus does AoE damage. The E for Nautilus, which is, the buff that really brought him out as a support,
Right.
A lot of the damage comes from multiple charges hitting. So if you're melee range with Nautilus, then multiple hits of the depth charge will stack up on you, even though the successive ones do less damage. It still is really, really high damage, one of the most damaging supports if you're in melee range of Nautilus, in the early levels. So you do have to be careful about that. Plus, it is AoE.
Yeah, I miss the early stint of when Nautilus came out. You'd like build Roa, go mid lane, and just riptide people, and then depth charge kill them. It was fun. That was a tangent. But as we just heard from Xpecial a little bit ago, we're going to hear from again because when Xpecial is looking to get an advantage over his opponents, he looks at footwear.
Distortion boots is really important for champions that want to flash initiate. So like an Annie. Part of it is so your flash comes up earlier. But one big thing that people don't always realize is it's because you trade flashes of an opponent, your flash comes up before theirs. So you have this 1 minute window where you can play super aggressive and know that they don't have flash, you have flash, they have to play extremely scared. And that whole minute is a really key time where you can abuse, and that's because of distortion boots.
Bottom line, it's got to be the shoes.
Yeah, bottom lanes pay attention to shoes a lot here. Him and Maple Street both. Big part of their gameplay.
The AD carries not so much. I wonder how the supports feel at the end of the game when they sell their boots. It's like, man, that's not fly anymore. You don't have boots. There's the all-star support on your screen right now. See what he gets himself onto this game. Or rather, what he can do, I should say, this game as we get back into it. Just waiting a few more. Him and Piglet have been trying to synergize. Let's talk about a lot of Piglet's kind of mentality and the way that he kind of has been looking at the game, looking at the team, looking at his kind of time here in North America. And it has changed. The team is happy about that. Back on the roster, we'll see if he can start to produce those results that he's looking for.
Oh, what a tease, Riv. What a tease.
It happened.
Just kidding. That's how we're going to do the whole game. 3 seconds at a time, then we'll come back and talk about Nautilus some more. Those Riptide charges, Riv.
Those Riptide charges, they
each
hard.
successive wave that hits after the first does 50% less damage, but yeah, still stacks up. So Lemon Nation, he'll probably get to roam pretty early on now that the lane swap is happening. So we'll see if they visit mid lane because Cassiopeia definitely very vulnerable to mid lane ganks, especially Cassiopeia that's facing Lissandra, who can set those up.
That's the Piglet determination face. No, I believe it, though. Riptide, more damage, get Diane in the game, 6 o'clock, high tide, you got it.
Wow, nice. I like that one. But, yeah, anyways, looking at the lanes, Piglet is going to have a difficult time this game. Cloud9 have brought not only Maokai with the point click, Vi with the point click, Lissandra with the point click, but Nautilus with the point and click, CC.
Yeah, Piglet's not going to have any fun. We see that being the kite and fight AD carry there. Even with the counter engage of Phoenix, you're going to be able to get that, not cryptic gaze. That was the old Scion thing. But yeah, you're able to get your stun out and stop that entire fight.
Gaze. The Medusa.
Petrifying.
But yeah, and then also I do like, comboing the Callista because she's going to be such a magnet for all this CC with very high damage Cassiopeia. Yeah. And we might even see again the rush for Luden's Echo, even though it would leave Phoenix very vulnerable. Ridiculous early damage that you can spam out.
I'm surprised we hadn't seen it yet. Obviously, we haven't really had the champions
to
build it, but yeah, EU played it. Oh, I've been loving it. So right now, while we work the issues out on stage, we apologize. We are going to send it over to the guys on the analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. As they mentioned, some unfortunate lag issues there for Phoenix, so hopefully we can get those sorted out. Can't be missing those crucial last hits early in the game. Very, very important. But this gives us the opportunity to talk about some things. And first up on the docket, I want to talk about the merits of support Nautilus, and particularly in this matchup, given the two-team compositions.
Yeah, I think this is actually a great team by C9 because they have 4 point-and-click lockups against a Callista and a high-target priority Cassiopeia. And the peel is pretty much like a Dr. Mundo. You can run right past that guy most of the time, especially with the dive of Vi, Maokai, Lissandra.
Right, and we've seen teams actually successfully play comps like this, Unicorns of Love being my primary example, kind of bringing back the York Cassio comps that are so darn strong. But, you know, you'd almost prefer, like, if you don't have York, like a Maokai, to be a defensive tank, right, someone to peel them off. They do have Janna for that purpose. Like, maybe they can peel these guys off, but then it comes down to really intricate executional precision where, okay, Cassio has cleanse. Okay, Callista can like ult the Janna in and knock people back. Janna can ult, knock people back. But you still have this like 2-second window of like, before these spells all happen, will the champion blow up after all anyway? So very difficult timings are here. I think the difficulty of execution actually is now on Team Liquid to survive these like press R click like compositions that like, even I can do that. Like, I could assault and battery Cassiopeia and probably land that. I don't even have to be Mitos to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to land those Rs, but when they're targeted like that. And as you mentioned, right, you have this giant front line for Cloud9, so there should be no fear of going in onto that Callista. I guess the question is, and as you mentioned, Freak, that the difficulty of execution is going to be on the side of Team Liquid, but Cloud9 has to be at a point of power in order to execute on that click R functionality.
Well, here's the interesting thing is, there's not much damage, really, on Cloud9. Lucian is a mid-damage AD carry. Lissandra got nerfs in 5.5. Her overall DPS, Q being the main one, is like 10% less damage now until you get like 1 million ability power in your build. Maokai's not a really high damage champion. Nautilus is okay. Like, Vi is high for a jungler, but she's still not Nidalee, right? She's still not completely destroying people. She's not jungle Karthus or Fiddlesticks. So, I mean, relative damage-wise, there is definitely more from Team Liquid. So if the execution does fail, if Team Liquid does survive, that team fight is Team Liquid's to win. Like, they're pretty much guaranteed if they don't get one shot in the engage, right? Talking about relative scale here, Team Liquid does more, flat out, no questions asked.
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's zero damage. I'm saying that compared to Team Liquid, there is much less damage here.
Yeah,
You're shaking your head.
Yeah, I was shaking my head because C9 is all front-loaded damage, like insta-burst stuff, and then Team Liquid's going to win the sustained fight because Cassiopeia is just ridiculously crazy when you have the fight just drag out a little longer because of her consistent damage over a period of time. Same with Mundo, right? Like, he's got good damage when you stay in a fight for a very long time. So yeah, that's what I was like, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, and then again, when they don't get one shot, you lose the fight because that's all this team has, is that front-loaded burst.
But not getting one shot is still rather difficult to do because this is very pick oriented on Cloud9. They're just like one guy. Even if they want to go after the Janna, they can be like, let's just kill Janna. I don't think it's the priority target, but like Cassiopeia is going to have to survive. She can build a little tanky. Like Seraph's is good for her. Roa is good for her, but Zhonya's is also good for her, right? Like, all these things are going to help her, but getting to that point takes a long time, and I don't know if Cloud9 are going to give them that opportunity to do so.
And that's the second point I was going to go for here is, Dash, you were mentioning sort of the team getting one shot and whatnot. I actually do want to know what build Phoenix goes for on Cassio. I think it's actually very important here because we traditionally do see, as you're mentioning, tanky Cassiopeia builds. Players like SK's Fox will go Rod of Ages. Most players go Tyr into Seraph's Embrace as like their first or second item. You see an early Riley's Crystal Scepter, usually a second item. So you're seeing like a 2,500 health champion, 3,000 health champion. In the case of Unicorns of Love, they had a Yorick, so they went for Luden's Echo early on and went for a squishy build. And that means you did even more damage. And I wonder if Phoenix will fall into that trap of shine a new item, oh my god, the damage output, but without durability, it'll be even easier to kill him. And that is just a concern to keep in mind. If he goes for this build, it's even easier to prey on the Cassiopeia weakness. And it is just something to look for as gold comes in, what he does choose to do.
Yeah, and the thing with Luden's Echo, too, on Cassiopeia, I actually love that item on her because she gets more AP than most because of her passive. So it's even more effective on her because the AP ratio on Luden's.
Exactly. It's a really cool item. I think it would actually make sense on Victor as well. Just champions that generally have low-ish AP ratios, but high AP, really want another AP ratio, whether that's Luden's Echo or Lichbane. It just has a natural synergy with how their kit is structured. One ratio is higher than the other, granted, one base damage is higher than the other, but yes, and also she moves around a lot, she casts a lot of spells, there's just a million synergies with this item. Problem is fitting it into the build is hard, and you're spending 3,400 gold on non-durability.
Jumping in real quick, an update. We've swapped out the PC, so hopefully we're only a couple minutes away from getting back into the game. The other thing I want to touch on here is, at the beginning of the show, we talked about jungle changes and seeing which junglers are going to, jump at the new opportunity and pick up those tank junglers. Notice we're seeing the Vi, right? We're seeing the Rek'Sai. These are picks we've seen all split long.
Yep.
I do wonder why we're not seeing Meteos go for a champion like Sejuani here, who still has a serious amount of lockdown in a comp like this provides that front line. Is it because slightly more front-loaded damage from the Vi? Like
they last picked the Vi, right? So once they saw the Callista, they saw the Cassiopeia, the 2 last picks for Team Liquid, the Vi looked like the best option for them to pick somebody off. The Sejuani's still open, but they were running relatively low damage overall. So if you do pick the Sejuani, you also fall in, you don't go front-loaded damage like the rest of your team, you go into more sustained overtime damage, and you're going to lose that fight against the Cassiopeia.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also an extra synergy as well, or anti-synergy if you want to think about it, where you can cleanse Sejuani ult, you can't cleanse anything that Vi does. Like, literally anything that Vi does is uncleansable. So there's a couple of soft choices there as well, where you kind of expect the cleanse versus Lissandra, and you're like, well, I don't want to fall trapped with that either.
Yeah.
Right. So it's still very interesting, though, the prioritization, too, though, to contrast that we had the Rek'Sai first pick on the side of Team Liquid, right? So it's definitely still some priority being placed on those junglers that we've seen all split.
Well, we heard Kikis talk about that from Unicorns of Love, actually. He was interviewed post-game after his, I think it was the Fnatic game, I don't remember exactly. But, he was asked about the tier list of his various junglers. And, people are still adapting to 5.5. I think we're going to see different prioritization in the coming weeks now that we see all these Cinderhulk champions show up. But he's still considered that Nidalee and Rek'Sai are these S-tier, top-tier junglers, even when Sejuani and Sion and Zac and all these guys are very good. And they are, but again, Jat talked about it in Primetime League, where you have to be able to adapt your team comps to now different styles of champions, right? And if you haven't been able to prep yet for all the Sejuani jungles, or just the fact that Rek'Sai is still good, and if you get that comp, then that's fine. And especially with the fact that Meteos has been a carry jungler for the team, like that's been actually one of his primary roles, is to get a bunch of farm and carry. That is easier to do on a champion like Rek'Sai that was picked away, and Vi that he picked here. Right? This makes a lot of natural sense based on how the team plays out.
The Rek'Sai, too, is going to give Team Liquid a bit of an opportunity to pick up early gold with the pressure that she applies to the map. And as you said, given the fact that they need to be able to outlast that initial burst going into team fights, they're definitely going to be looking to come out ahead in the early game.
Yeah, and that's something I actually talked to when I was talking to some junglers about 5.5. I talked to Enemies Trashy, and I was like, so what about Sejuani? What about these picks? And he was like, I still think Rek'Sai and Nidalee are top tier right now. And I'm like, why is that? And he's like, because Sejuani takes over late game, but you have to let them get to late game for that to happen. So you just take the very early dominant junglers that have some trade-offs, because you still get tanky at the end of the game with a Vi, with a Jarvan, with these champions. So you still fall into that. You just aren't as tanky and as much damage as Cinderhulk then. And that's the trade-off, though. When you pick a Cinderhulk jungler, your early clear is kind of rough. Your first gank is really kind of lackluster. And then once you hit 6, you kind of like fall into the Warwick trap, where you don't do a whole lot until 6.
It's true.
Easy to take advantage of.
Another interesting thing here, I'm just kind of looking at the stat sheet. This is yet another top laner coming out for Quas, has not played Mundo yet. This split, right?
Not a surprise per se, but more.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's not like, oh, wild pick. Somebody took Mundo in the top lane, but very interesting to see him yet again being versatile as a player.
I mean, it also speaks to the fact that he had all these champions without it being Mundo, one of the old meta picks anyway. So clearly continues to show that Quas obviously does a whole bunch of great stuff. And I mean, it's just fun to see, right, that like he's able to adapt so easily to what Team Liquid needs from the team comp.
All right, fantastic. Well, it's exciting to have the opportunity to talk about this, and I'm definitely excited to see how it all plays out. So the team's all ready to head back into the game, so we're going to send it back over to the casters for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash, and we are ready to jump into the universe of Summoner's Rift. Once again, players are ready. We are as well. Kobe, no tease?
For real this time. Let's go.
All right, so we're going to get back into the match. Phoenix also feeling a bit of queasiness as well during this process, so some of the nerves getting to him a little bit. We actually know that to be something that played Dominate in the past, so having that teammate there to know the situation, know what's happening. Have a seat next to me. Have a seat next to me, buddy.
Again. Scrub.
Pause for game sound, not lag.
Perfect.
So it was just the fix on the sound. We see Donald as well taking to the Navy SEAL crawl to fix the computer.
Forgot to plug in one cable.
It happens.
That's it.
Seems to be all right. We have the translator on stage as well to make sure the communication goes smoothly back and forth between the refs when necessary. Make sure Phoenix getting everything that he requires throughout this game. Going to get that tested up quite quickly. Once again, we heard about the frontline composition that Cloud9's bringing in here. The guys in the analyst desk were talking about. It's going to be tough for Team Liquid to really do anything here. 7-7. 9 and 5. Let's see what these guys can get out of
Tired
the
of these refs, man. We gave them one spotlight, and now they just want the whole show to be about the refs. We're fixing stuff, guys. Oh, yeah.
Player needs a shoe tied. We will pause for a ref tie. Phoenix.
Do they, you know, if they allow you to tie your own shoes, you have to get a ref to come tie it for
Most
you?
players don't even wear their shoes. You know that.
That's true.
Just look at baseball. All right, we start this one off. Cloud9's getting kicked where they don't want, and we're going to see if he can keep himself safe. 3 minutes into this game, nobody has too much of a lead, as expected.
All right, well, let's see how they play out the early game here. Supports begin to roam, and Lemonation makes his way down the river into the blue side jungle of Team Liquid.
So I like, usually we see like a Thresh, right, who can save other people, but now Elimination can anchor toss himself out of dangerous situations. We'll see how good he is at self anchor tossing.
Cloud9 are definitely looking to go forward. Pretty much everybody on the same page. But, as I said, they get all of their really big abilities at level 6. So Cloud9 will just try and farm probably for the early stages of the game to get to those level 6s. The Vi 6, the Lissandra 6, Nautilus, and we'll see if they can get there in a calm fashion without Rek'Sai really creating too much pressure is what Cloud9 are hoping for.
And allowing Meteos to really roll through the jungle by himself here. Balls went to the lane right by himself. They can see the sonar. He's got to be very careful. And he is. Pushed up to the lane, how they have to actually get here for the experience so they don't miss too much. Very nice job by Meteos to kind of just be right under their nose, and they can't do anything about it due to the positioning.
Special hiding in the brush to see if there's a dive, and then try and turn the dive around.
I think he saw
so they
that.
were actually hoping to sort of bait something in there and have a special show up as the unexpected third man for Team Liquid. But Cloud9, as we said, they're not going for those more risky dives. He turns his head towards middle, goes for the easy setup here with Cassiopeia. Flash burn, very successful gank. The beating on the exit doesn't hurt that much because Vi does not take that much damage in the jungle and has smite up. So Meteos should be able to at least clear off that side of the jungle. The real key there is the flash burn from Cassiopeia. She has no more escapes in the mid lane, and they will have to have Dominate come supply wards for her. Piglet going really aggro.
That's a lot of minion damage.
He knew that he had a special on the way, though, for the shield, so he wanted to punish balls as heavily as possible. Does have the wave pushing against him as well. So forces balls to chug potions, head back to base, and will be denied experience.
He's got the teleport, so he's always only going to lose a little bit.
Well, the lane is going to be frozen against him in Team Liquid territory, so it's going to be very dangerous for him to get out there. I think he will still be denied, even if he does decide to go back to lane.
Yep.
And man, Phoenix just pleading with the refs.
He will yet rise from the ashes this game. So we saw Dominic go back. He picked up Trailblazer after getting the CS in the top lane. It was a bit faster than Meteos's, so he's back to farming.
Trailblazer Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
This is one of the few champions where I'm actually shocked to see Trailblazer. Pretty much everybody else, especially North American junglers, I'm always like, oh yeah, Trailblazer, no big deal. It's pretty much everybody just goes back to time and again. But Rek'Sai, because her AoE is so good, and because she benefits so heavily from either the slow to close distance from a Chilling Smite, or even the late game power of skirmishers, which is really, really strong and underestimated, I think, by a lot of junglers outside of Europe, where Europe is like the mecca for skirmisher saber junglers. But Rek'Sai is one of the few junglers, especially because she does not need mana back in the jungle for using the Trailblazers
get a little
to
bit
get
of that heal.
Missing mana. I almost never see her Trailblazers. It's not a terrible item, though. Obviously, faster clears.
Are you sure? Because that's what it sounded like, Kobe.
It's not terrible. I feel like the merits of the other two late game smites are a bit definitely outweigh, especially since it's a lane swap. Outweigh it, but Dominate thinks otherwise. And
it's almost it's not
very quick.
It's not the same thing with Vi. Obviously, you have mana and whatnot, so Trailblazer helps, but you still have the AoE. So what's the choice there, really? You know, you stick with Trailblazer to clear and keep up, or do you just go chilling, you go skirmish,
Yeah, that's what
try
I'm saying.
to go aggro?
Rek'Sai does not need the same things that Vi needs. Vi
Right.
does need the mana back in the jungle. So no, I'm not surprised to see Meteos pick it up just to dominate.
Being
now,
strong. Played well in that Vi versus Liquid the last time, as we said before. So we'll see if it comes out again. The pink wards you can see from the junglers already when they're first backs.
Yeah, very, very heavy investments into vision for both teams. And of course, Phoenix, as expected, getting wards for himself on his back as well. The early tier, so he can stack it up with Cassiopeia. Wants to scale into late game. Early full Negatron cloak here for high in the mid lane. Just for the laning phase versus Cassiopeia. Very interesting there. Feels under pressure. Now, Cassiopeia, with the mana nerfs a couple patches back, did lose some of her aggressive laning power for the early stages, but especially once she's gotten the tier, not really that big of a nerf towards the mid and late game. So now that Phoenix does have the tier, Hyde does have to be worried about the chain DPS that he can get in lane. Flash blown though, so I don't think Phoenix will be playing aggressively. Man, now they're gonna play charades. Because we're about to run out of pause time in this game, actually.
It will be. We have another 9 minutes to go through this one. Looking at what Team Liquid has, even with Cloud9 in this match today, saying they're coming off of Katowice, a little weaker. You look at Team Liquid's schedule, and after this, they have Coast, Winter Fox, and Team Dignitas, and they're 7-7. So if they win this, they go 8-7, and they can potentially climb really hard in these last 3 games because those are some of the easiest teams right now.
They are definitely looking towards the end of their schedule to not drop any games and quickly rise up the standings. So that means that if they do drop games later in their schedule, then it's going to be that much more disappointing for the team, though.
Piglet doesn't want to drop more games.
These so many technical difficulties. I feel like everybody's been having these. But the last couple of weeks, I even have had these types of issues.
Quas taking a nap.
And solo
or rather
queue.
balls.
Just been plagued with packet loss, DCs.
Yeah, it happens.
It's just too much for Quas.
The internet is a
Can't
crazy
handle it
place. Crazy indeed. Lemonation ready to play the support Nautilus this game. We talked about that.
Oh, stop.
110
We're done. We're
times
done.
before.
I'm done, Pip. I'm going to wait till he makes a play, and then I'll give you some more.
All right.
I'm not going to give it all now.
All right. I think that's fair.
I'm going to hold some secrets. But, man, yeah, one of the big things is let's talk about the other side of the matchup, the Janna into the Nautilus.
Yeah.
There's so much pressure on Xpecial to pull off the Janna in this game because Cloud9 is so dive heavy and lacks so much sustained damage. If Xpecial can upset the Engage, Xpecial and Phoenix obviously with the Petrify Engage, if they can actually upset the Engage and interrupt the chain of CC from Cloud9, bursting down one of the damage dealers from Team Liquid, then they will easily take command of the team fight here. So we'll watch for some huge plays from this all-star support. This guy who's been around the North American scene since the very beginning.
We'll
the
see.
inception of competitive League of Legends. Xpecial was there. And he is still here today as a top support.
Yep, the all-star support, if you will. I can't really say it too well. But he does have some plays to be made this game to stop Piglet from dying. The peel's going to be onto him. He chooses Janna on this one. Footwear is his focus, so we'll see if footwear is where he decides to go first, getting that vision out early. With the 2v1 swap, you expect to see him heading towards the blue buff quite early in this game. We're only 5.5 minutes in. Waiting on this one to continue here. Piglet on the screen. He wants to play. That guy has been back and forth, on the bench, off the bench, and now when he does get in the game,
Look at him, though.
He's
not flustered at all. This is a world champion. He's been in very high-pressure situations. Bigger stadiums than this. Just rolling with the punches.
No yawning.
Oh, now we're going to start. Now everyone's going to start. Phoenix, what are you talking about?
Still waiting to see. So it was a sound issue most recently with Phoenix's computer. There was a lag issue previously that we got fixed up with the computer swap. So we're just waiting on that right now. Definitely apologize for the technical difficulties throughout the day so far. And we hope to be back in the game quite soon here.
Yeah. Get on with our day.
Indeed. Looking at some of the player statistics coming out of this one, not too bad in the jungle. Meteos right now at 10 holds number 1 in the jungler at CS with 41, and he's actually +5 over anybody else. So he's getting a few more camps in before his ganks, and it's been somewhat making an impact for the team. 9 and 5.
Yeah, he was playing a lot in Italy, which definitely helps your
farm
jungle CS numbers.
Everything.
You just feel like you have carte blanche when you're on Nidalee in the jungle, and you have your blue buff. There's so many things you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
It truly is one of those moments where it's like some kid who just graduated high school, and everyone's telling them you can be whatever you want when you grow up. You have so much potential. Nidalee can literally do whatever she wants. She can hard farm. She can go gank. She can go attack the enemy jungler.
Yep. Well, you got Dominate on the other side. He's only at number 3, but that's 36 CS at 10. So
well, Rek'Sai, very similar
Keep
situation,
CS,
especially since he has gone for the Trailblazer. Can make use of the early ultimates, get across the map that much quicker, and make use of the tunnel network for Farmville 2000.
Farmville forever.
He's already 3 CS up on Meteos. Dun, dun, dun.
Meteos is going to hit the jungle hard, though. This is like workout time for the next 10 minutes. He's just hitting the gym.
There.
Good math, Kobe. Fast math. Always, it's impressive to people who can't do math. High, ready and raring to go. Really enjoyed his Kennen play recently. He has been able to branch out into a few more champions. As we spoke to him in interviews, he was saying, High, was it your choice or kind of hindering your play that you've had to play passive, or is it kind of a team thing? He's like, I don't like to play passive at all. I like to go in. I like to be the guy to fight. Yeah, High.
Yeah.
He was not enjoying that early part of the split where he's like, stay back, do this. Everybody wants him to do this.
High is such a controversial person in the League of Legends community because he's such a good player.
Yeah.
And he can climb the solo queue ladder very quickly. He's also an amazing shot caller, and he has a great mind for the strategy of the game. But he gets so much flack from the community for the deaths that he accrues during the course of Cloud9 games because he's not afraid to trade deaths for any sort of advantage, objectives, or even just map position. But he also, there's this other side where High is one of the most aggressive laning mid laners. Like he even taught Bjergsen a lot when Bjergsen first came over here.
That's a really good point, Kobe.
Really early, aggressive, all-in lane.
Don't cheer just yet. You're scaring me.
Hey, we made it further than we've made the last 2 pauses.
I like
10 seconds, baby. All right, so Balls, remember he did not actually get to recall because Xpecial stopped his back before. And again, zoned out completely. Great job here, Team Liquid, freezing the lane right in front of their turret. So this is going to be a very difficult situation for Balls to, get back in there. Looks like now maybe they decide to, what a good ward there from Team Liquid. Outside the tri-bush, Meteos does not know that he was seen previously. And Elimination really tried to force the issue and bait in Quants there, but just took a bunch of damage instead. Dominating the area for the counter.
Oh, the pre-6 Mundo game. Dominate comes in. Elimination goes down. The Flash and Ignite have been burned on that one, and a beautiful counter gank by Dominate.
That is going to give Cloud9 flashbacks. Katowice, failed dive top. What a perfect play from Team Liquid. They had the ward outside of the tri-bush. Dominates in position once again, but Meteos now wants to take advantage of his Gromp greed.
Gets himself out safely. Only has to use the tunnel, no flash.
They got the first blood. They'll give up the Gromp for it.
Yeah, good call. They have the wards to clear as well. Their pinks are in place, so they can start to deny that early vision that Cloud9 has tried to get in. And they didn't get much out of the gank, so they're going to be looking for more.
That's something I do want to see from a lot more teams as well, is the early pink wards on your side of the jungle that you were just lane swapped on. Wow.
That would have been dead.
Flash out of Balls. That is going to unfreeze the lane, though. Because Ball has distracted them, he was unable to keep the freeze at his turret, and it cost him his flash, but the lane will be pushing back towards his turret now. But yeah, the early pink wards in your own side of the jungle after you reset a lane swap. Because you know the enemy just left a ton of wards on your side of the jungle. Meteos, though, returning back to his pink ward that he placed, and still there's another ward outside the tri-bush. Quas constantly placing these, so he will not be caught.
Nicely done, whether it's his trinket, which is that one, or he has the vision ward as well to be placed when it runs out, keeping himself very safe. And we see that Liquid may be kind of taking a back foot or a back seat here as their flashes are all down. Nothing crazy for the next few minutes. They're just happy to farm it up. BF Sword already onto Piglet in the bottom lane. You can see the pressure they've been putting on the balls. Like you said, they blew his flash, and it looks like the turret's going to be theirs as well. See how this is responded to.
That's actually a good point. The Kalista build not going for attack speed early because he is in a lane swap. It will enable him, to get take down the turret that much quicker. But delaying the Runons, it is a very high damage build to go with the BF into Bloodthirster first. But the mobility will take a hit.
And that's one of the things we're kind of, maybe he's just considering, if I do get locked down, I'm dead, right? So he might want that shield. He might want a bit of that ability to
that's true as
hopefully get out of the lockdown with some health on the way out. Only a 700 gold lead here for Team Liquid as they kind of mope around the map, waiting for those flashes to come back up, as we said. Happy with their first blood, first dragon, and first turret.
And Phoenix's flash is back up. One of the big things that we saw 20 minutes ago at the beginning of the game was the early flash blown by Phoenix because of an early gank from Meteos. But they were unable to get back to a Lissandra lane versus a Cassiopeia who has her flash blown. So Phoenix able to wait it out with good warding on the mid lane and playing safe and a bit far back in the mid lane. And Cloud9 were unable to capitalize on that early summoner blown on the very low mobility champion, Cassiopeia. Now, though, Meteos has hit that level 6, High is level 6. They have all of the CC that they're looking for with that combo. They almost even have the depth charge ready from Nautilus from Lemon Nation level 6.
And there's a really big spike from High. The Abyssal Scepter already created here just at the 10-minute mark for him. So if he decides to get a roam on, somebody's going to get exploded. Phoenix to pick up blue. This will help him charge that Cassiopeia passive very nicely for himself.
Well, lanes do shake out post level 6, meeting back up. And the solos up top is probably the big difference because there's not that much warding there. Jungler down bottom, though, right now. Meteos looking to use first Vi ultimate. And Nautilus almost level 6. Lemon Nation needs 2 more minions to get that depth charge. Depth charge
over
into
the wall.
Assault and Battery. Oh, Lemon Nation didn't get the minion.
Gets the flash out of it. That's right, Kobe. There's now the 6 for Lemon Nation. That's going to be the depth charge. They rock it out, but they also call balls down for this here.
Yeah, they don't. And with all the hard CC that they use, they still have depth charge and Lissandra ultimate still ready for the dragon fight. All right, dragon's already gone.
Dragon's gone,
Dominate took it earlier.
Didn't hurt too bad. Quas wasn't pushing the top lane there. I believe he actually stopped his teleport, it looks like, from
He had to.
base.
Piglet and Expresswell were both already dead. So we see the mid game here. As soon as they hit their level 6 with the CC, successful gank onto Piglet, focusing him already. There's nothing that you can do. And it's only going to get worse because that was only, teleport in from Maokai and Assault and Battery. They didn't even have to use the other 2 point and clicks. They can use those on Phoenix.
Right, and you saw the distance that Piglet was able to create. He won't be able to do that for another 5 minutes, so it's only going to get easier here for Cloud9 and the rest of the team to press R. 2-1 now as Cloud9 made their first move towards the bottom lane. It looks like that will cause these AD carries to now match up, possibly, towards the top side. It looks like Sneaky may actually head back towards the bottom himself, though.
Phoenix inflating his numbers, also stacking up, taking down the babies from Meteos.
Yeah, why not? Get all those stacks for yourself, charge
it. You've got blue buff. Kill everything that you see as Cassiopeia. Bunch of wards as well for the top side here for Team Liquid. So Phoenix should be hugging that side of the river. Very safe for him in the mid lane. to hug the top side. Lemonation does land his chain of CC, but of course it is Mundo.
Yeah, little bump of
Also
damage
has
for him.
magic resist early here. Now that might come back to bite him if Sneaky's able to focus him. But for the Nautilus damage, pays off.
Couldn't help it, Kobe. It comes out of a ruby crystal. He just wanted it so bad. Loves
right.
those rubies. This
Here
is
come
going to
both
be
junglers as
dangerous.
well.
Doing what he can to hold out. They are going to grab the turret. The fight will continue after shield down to Quas is already broken. He gets hit. The Ignite is completely killing the ultimate. He gets hit by Sneaky. They turn it around once again. And
I thought Dominate
heads
was
out to
coming as
Expression.
well. I think Dominate finished up a camp.
Whoa. Hey, yo. Because the top side here is Phoenix. Will he hit a good ultimate? They were staring right at him, but now he's just left to get shredded apart here. They couldn't have thought that this was going to go well for them.
Is this just the week of chaos?
I think.
Because that was a really, really uncharacteristic lapse in judgment from Team Liquid. Not calling everybody into position at the right time, and Cloud9 with the CC advantage to make them pay for it. Didn't expect the Ignite from Nautilus, I think. I think that Quas expected
To be big, yeah.
Nautilus to have Exhaust instead, but Lemonation pops the Ignite. As we said, there was no armor, so Sneaky just...
Ooh, that was nice.
And it continues!
A good job by Team Liquid here to start. Wow, did he really just get out alive? No way. From a Janna as well? That's crazy. Great job by Sneaky to avoid dying there. Elimination goes down for his buddy to get out alive.
Now, it was very chaotic. And all that said, though, Cloud9 do come out with a huge lead here for the early game.
Oh, God, yeah.
And once again, they're able to... don't you hate when that happens? All right, gonna go to his red buff instead, though. Early Sightstone as well. So it's a double early Sightstone here for Team Liquid. Whereas look at Meteos. He's going for extra damage because they really, really count on killing the target. When they go all in, they have to make sure they have enough damage to finish off either Piglet or Phoenix when they get in with Vi and Lissandra combo. If you get the early armor penetration, neither Phoenix nor Piglet are building early armor. So flat armor penetration is so much value for Meteos, especially since Vi also has percentage armor penetration with her W. This is a very, very damage-heavy build here from Meteos. Very early spike. As soon as you get the Brutalizer, a lot of burst damage here from Vi.
Also decided to go with those Ninja Toppies, figuring he'd get hit up by Piglet quite a bit. Cancel out Phoenix. Don't need to control the lockdown there. Or get out of the lockdown, I should say. You're already controlling it. Dragon going over to Cloud9. Nicely done by them. It's going to have to be a very, very carefully played game now by Team Liquid with them losing vision in the jungle. These picks
Secondary
are gonna
turret,
easier.
though, could go down for Team Liquid. Now, they're making an exchange for Dragon for the first turret, but they have Rek'Sai ultimate and teleport for Quas, so they might try and teleport some people down to this secondary turret that Cloud9 are making to looking to make a move on. Sending 3 members down. Now, Balls does have teleport as well, and Team Liquid do not blow either of their teleports, so they just try and walk in here with Special to shield it.
Yep.
And that'll be enough.
See Sneaky breaking through that turret shield as it has been reduced a little bit on the inner turrets on the outside, but with some more HP.
Right. These secondary turrets taken down a notch in the new patch. The shield much weaker.
Thank you,
side
Base Riot.
ones.
But it doesn't look like it's going to stop Cloud9 from the push in the bottom lane, though. Too much pressure, too much vision, and Team Liquid may just have to give this one up here. Quant is actually going to approach.
They do not want to go for dives.
Looks like they don't.
Phoenix does have cleanse and ult available.
That was pretty ridiculous. Fate's Call saving especially
Charge
immediately.
wasted, teleport canceled. That will be an end to this encounter. Cloud9 blows some heavy cooldowns and need to back off after that.
Yeah.
That is what they're looking for, though. So we'll see them return once they do have cooldowns back available. Now, Phoenix is going to have to keep track of, or Cloud9 is going to have to keep track of Phoenix's cleanse, because there are two main point-and-click CCs that cannot be cleansed, the Vi or the Nautilus. Knockups, Phoenix Cleanse will be useless against those. So those can be used for Phoenix, whereas Piglet, they will probably want to use the Maokai Lissandra combo on. Cloud9 have so many point-click hard CCs that they can afford to split them.
We'll see where they decide to go from here. We have Lemonation on the roam towards the mid lane. Looks like he's just going to try to get some deep wards in behind the red of Liquid to make sure they can't start to come back in this matchup, knowing they have the double sight stone. Cloud9's going to have to do some sweeping and ward killing quite often. Special with the setup of their own security line towards the back part of their map as well. These pink wards being laid down nicely in areas that they can protect them. They know they can't lay them too far forward.
Yeah.
Be immediately lost.
Already, though, the vision's so heavily in Cloud9's favor. This is a dragon control team. This is how they want to win the game here, is control the neutral objectives and bring the team fights out into the open where they have the distance that they can stack up all of their CCs. So plenty of vision for Cloud9 around the bottom area of the dragon. So if Team Liquid venture out too far, Cloud9 can look for those picks.
Starting to deny everything that Liquid has. A little crazy. Piglet trying to get some extra shots in here. See balls and Quas towards the top lane. That teleport is up for Quas still if they decide to try and engage here on the side from Team Liquid.
Oh, man. Meteos also with a Hex Drinker on top of the Brutalizer. So going so heavy with this damage build, full DPS build here from Meteos. This is very rare for him in competitive games. He does this all the time in solo queue for carrying solo queue. However, in most competitive games, we see him build tanky. But because they have a support Nautilus who can fill the secondary tank role, he's freed up to go damage once again. And we will get to see him in his natural habitat. As we
go a few style times.
In solo queue.
Wasn't he the full build 80 Nocturne as well?
Remember?
Yeah.
It was
He likes
beautiful to watch.
Style when he can.
When he can, exactly. Since they do have the secondary support tank, he's freed up to do it. And with Mundo having them, it keeps Mundo honest, basically. He can't fully itemize against the sort of Maokai Lissandra AP threat. Because there's such a heavy AD threat from Vi as well. And, he's going to be doing percentage health damage with Vi, so Meteos doesn't always want to just dive the backline first. Lemonation gets the flash with just the hook, and they'll take the turret.
Hello.
But this is a Dominate classic. He's one of the junglers that's really, really sneaky about stealing Barons. A lot of the calls for early Barons are from Dominate. They've got it down to half. Meteos is there, though.
Oh, boy.
Bomb
Now it's
goes
a
in.
50-50. This is not going to be good for Team Liquid. They aren't even going to go for Baron on the side of Cloud9 either. It's right into the fight. Phoenix gets the Vault or Assault Battery into the Vault Breaker. The knockup comes in, but is it enough? No, it is not across the board. Piglet's the only one left alive to farm the bot lane.
Well, that's the downside of the early sneaky Barons. If they do come over and check it,
they don't have that much damage
they're
either.
Pretty much boned.
You're looking at Dominate, who built the Lock of the Iron Solari as well. Obviously not going to have tons of damage items there, but they're not crushing that Baron down immediately, so that was very risky. But I guess when you go for broke, you go for broke.
Piglet the hero! Yeah, Piglet.
Baron goes down, depth charge in, bounced up, bounced down, ping-ponged around, but he finally gets taken down in the end. And Cloud9 start to put their stamp on this game. 8,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
And Baron now.
It's so hard to go for that if you do not have blue buff for Phoenix. Look at Phoenix. He drained all of his mana trying to DPS Baron down. Now, Cassiopeia is one of the best at killing Baron with a blue buff, but she ran dry, had nothing left for the team fight, and Meteos ultimately her full damage build. They were easily able to take him out. High starting it off was really nice because he got into the Baron pit, got AoE damage down with a self-ultimate, so he still was very healthy after getting out of it, and a clean sweep here from Cloud9. That one move from Team Liquid made this game go from, a disadvantage to a huge drop-off for Team Liquid, and complete control for Cloud9 now. Because they also have this very, very CC heavy team. It's easy for Cloud9 to bully with their advantage. If you get this kind of lead on a team that can go all in like this, then it's very easy to just steamroll ahead.
Able to just flex their muscles. Meteo's charging the Q, makes everybody back off. That was enough for it. And the grab on a Dominate should be able to get into that tunnel and get through. He may just have to crawl through the gate. Gets out alive as the team is offering a little bit of help from over the wall. Cloud9 isn't afraid. They're just toying with him right now. Righteous Glory was used there to try and get in and get everything they could. But imagine if that Baron had gone onto Liquid Kobe. They would have nicely pushed lanes, even more than the bot lane right now. But it's always easy to say what if.
So risky.
Yeah.
To go for one of those. And only seeing a couple people down bottom. But yeah, can't live in the past now. Got to deal with what's on the board. And that is Cloud9 with a 9K gold lead and Baron buff still ticking away. Looks like they won't make a final push with the Baron buff. They're just happy to go back and purchase with all the money that they just got. Maybe they'll head towards bottom here, but man, they just have full vision coverage. They can pretty much pick off anybody that they find. Meteos also is going to go with Blade of the Ruin King last. He's just buying all of the pocket swords here. The sort of tier and a half offensive items. Hex Drinker, Brutalizer, and Cutlass are all kind of in the same tier of offensive items, half completed here. And that will be enough to take out whichever target he decides to go for. At least Phoenix has fully stacked up his tier, so it's transform. He's got the shield ready, the full Seraph Embrace. But it's going to be a lot turtling for Team Liquid. Cloud9, maybe they can, bait Cloud9 into a dive and try to outplay. They still have very good disengage tools, counter-engage with the Cassiopeia and the Janna. Cloud9 overplayed their hand. Team Liquid can grab back into this one. These tanks, though, they are itching to dive.
You can see it.
Maul's almost fully stacked on his rod. Lemonation already even stacking up with his health. The increased health on the Righteous Glory as well. 650 now compared to 500. Such a huge buff to the item. It's going to buff up his shield as well, which is percentage health based.
Not much Liquid can do, but watch and wait right now for what Cloud9 wants to dictate here around the map. I think it's going to be this last turret. If they can get around the bottom side, it may be something for them, but Cloud9's actually playing this one pretty safe. No dives for them, even though they'd love to.
Yeah.
When they get out of this one.
I mean, they basically have the win of controlling the entire neutral map and stacking up the dragons and barons as long as they want and just making pushes with barons. Just because they have the tools to dive does not mean that they have to end it that way. And as we said, the one turnaround for Team Liquid is the counter engage under a turret. So Cloud9 not wanting to take that chance, and they're going to play it safe, controlling the map instead.
Well, they came into the game with the idea probably once Quants picked Mundo that we can hit Mundo before 6. Didn't work once. They stuck with it towards the bottom lane.
Oh,
yeah. We were able to pretty much even out the game there, but they didn't go crazy after losing that first top lane game.
The bottom lane shenanigans, sticking around the dying turret.
Right.
The Nautilus with Ignite, no armor versus Sneaky, and sort of a late collapse there from Team Liquid. That put them behind, but really what was the nail in the coffin was that Baron. Maybe Team Liquid felt a little bit desperate after
that's a good point.
It had all gone wrong down bottom. Let's see though. Nautilus is huge now. He's been able to get the old Elixir of Iron. Yeah, it doesn't look that big actually.
It's because he's already gigantic.
I would have expected him to be
grow
larger.
more.
I think that might be a visual bug. I'm disappointed. It looks like
whoa!
Looks like regular.
Merry Christmas, gentlemen.
Get two more! Get two more! It's an Easter egg hunt now, actually, not Christmas.
It's changing. It's whatever you want it to be.
Oh, those were their words.
It's your holiday.
Well, we are going to have one of those lulls than the customary.
Yep.
This is the new season where teams do not want to risk it since there's the stacking mechanic and the turrets are so difficult to knock down. Play safe.
We're getting the split push on right now. Definitely from Maokai. It's going to take a little bit longer. He's trying to push that bottom lane out. He'll get it somewhat. Looks like he's going to meet with the team after this or use that teleport if necessary.
Interesting how they're hovering around Baron rather than grabbing Dragon before, because it would be ridiculously risky for Team Liquid to trade or to try and go for Baron while Cloud9 do Dragon. But they could theoretically steal away Dragon while Cloud9 take Baron. Let's see if it happens. Oh,
Yeah.
mid lane they might just fight.
So many wards right now on the left side of that jungle for Liquid that Cloud9 has placed, so they can pretty much not leave this mid lane, or they are seen everywhere. Cloud9, however, not putting themselves in any dangerous situation or only waiting for the waves to connect as they continue to cover that Baron up. They don't want to make any mistakes here. They also realize that
base check.
potential. Oh, the Scrying Orb. Who's going to get it first? Depth charge onto Piglet. It is going to be a deep dive for him. Dominate, making sure that he's peeled on the back line, but everybody goes in. Phoenix gets locked up and knocked down. That was the ultimate coming in from high. Now they get the focus back on to Piglet. He goes down. The double kill coming in for Sneaky. It was a back and forth fight as Cloud9 was trying to find the targets they wanted, but once they did, wiped out.
It was mostly a fourth fight. No back there from Team Liquid.
Back and forth clicking, not damage dealing.
That's true. They did get banged around. There's some knockback.
Yeah, exactly. The back and forth positioning into the fight win.
Man, you just get banged up. It's just because Cloud9, with this comp, they're so far ahead as well. There is nothing you can do if you get caught out in the open there. Righteous Glory ensures the engage. Elimination charging straight for the back line, leading the way with his Elixir of Iron, speeding up the rest of the team. And yeah, you're just going to get banged around facing this squad.
It's tough. Every one of them was immediately in the middle of that pile, that fight. You didn't even know how to disengage one of the guys because each one of them flashed or just used a gap close. Watch this.
Yeah, just look at how hard it is for Team Liquid to play this team fight. Piglet has to flash all the way back or he's immediately dead. Phoenix tries to go in to get any damage. He casts one spell and he's toast. Elimination soaks him up. There's an immediate ultimate from high. As soon as Piglet tries to get one auto attack in, they're all over him. This is the new way of team fights. When you have support jungler or tank junglers and tank supports as well. It's even so hard to click on the target that you want. Focus targeting is very difficult when you have these giant character models of Maokai and Nautilus sitting around that are the full tanks and they're just bum rushing your face. Not to mention, Expressal he tried to get his ultimate off, tried his best there, but that one knockback is not going to stop the 10,000 ways that Cloud9 have to engage. So,
well, that was the pinnacle of press R for them. That's pretty much what the press R comp is. Cloud9 coming out very strong there. You talked a little bit about it, Kobe, that the Monsoon may just kind of not even work if there's enough control by the other team. And Cloud9 has gotten there.
Shenna's like this counter to hard engage, but it's what degree of hard engage do you have?
The hardest engage indeed. Quas getting hit up. The Ignite's not going to be there for Lemonation, so they just bide their time until the wave pushes up a bit more. Lemonation, rather Dominate, and the rest of the team there to help stop this one. Sneaky's not really given any care to the world as he steps in for a few shots. Trying to smite and do everything they can to the cannon minion here that's sieged up, or rather super minioned up by the Baron. They go in for the fight. That's a good Monsoon there, but he is going to get exploded. That's right. It only buys time for the team to reassess the fight. 3 are now down for Team Liquid as Cloud9 looks to take the base. Support Nautilus, Kobe. Made it happen in NA.
Made it happen. It is here to stay as well. Oh man, another good hook from Lemon.
Right by the side of the Nexus. That's going to be a 32-minute game on the clock. 20-3. Cloud9 take down Team Liquid.
Well then.
Well then, indeed. That went from...
another Baron gone wrong.
Yeah, that went from close to not very close at all. A very quick amount of time.
Yes, it did.
That's what happens when you go for broke, though. That high risk, high reward, right? That's what they were looking for. They knew the consequences. It's not like they didn't know.
They felt very pressured.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
So we do see that Team Liquid move to 7-8. Cloud9 now 10-5, with Teammate and Gravity coming up. Teams that have actually been showing quite well. Teammate and both Gravity pulling out some wins lately, and then they face Team Solo Mid as their final matchup. So not sure that there's going to be a straight line of victories here coming in for Cloud9. Going to be a lot of work to do, but that's got to feel nice after Katavica.
That definitely feels nice. Winning a game like that, you can even see after the game.
Yeah.
Eliminations up there with balls. Yeah, man, I love being on the front line. Feels so good.
It was good indeed. He didn't get any kills this game. So now Elimination has one game to get 4 kills for 100 kills in 100 games. We'll see if he can do it. Jack chatting with the team, talking to Sneaky. He's like, "You guys crushed. Great job. Look up there. Everything was fantastic." That's probably not at all what he said. Phoenix, pressure, some troubles with the PC in the early game. Still played quite well throughout. Was able to try and make an impact for going from lane to lane, dominate with the good early ganks. Meteos and his jungle is just one in the other. They go together like peas in a pod. It is his. So far, the king of NA, and he continues to hold that. Rush making a good case for it, though.
That's going to be a fun matchup. Cloud9 versus TIP. Rush versus Meteos. See if they go hard farm or actually decide to throw down and fight. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that 1v1 Meteos versus Rush.
Let's do it.
In the jungle.
Let's just hold it. We'll go into Monday. We'll commentate it, Kobe.
Yeah. No laners.
No laners.
Only jungle camps.
None of that extra stuff. Get it out of here. Then nobody can blame them, right? Nobody can blame you, Kobe. So Cloud9 come up with actually a very nice win there. It's good to see that they got their composure back after IM Katowice. Maybe they went into that without the preparation, and we just saw a Cloud9 that wasn't ready. It definitely was. They're kind of at home.
It definitely was a fairly uncharacteristic Cloud9. I'm not used to seeing them like that. However, they did make one of the same mistakes. They went for the top lane dive, turned around on them really nicely. That was one of the really good plays from Liquid that we saw early in the game. Yeah. Turning around that dive, Quas was able to outplay.
And we also saw that Liquid had a little bit more time to play on this, while Cloud9 came back and had to kind of dive right into it. So good on them for that as well, to keep up on the play. Let's right now throw it down to Jat, who's on stage with Cloud9's Jungle Enforcer.
Thank you very much, Riv. And yes, I'm with Meteos, who just took a victory on Vi. I want to go back in time a little bit, though. Unfortunate showing at IM Katowice, but how did you guys turn it around in time with the fatigue and the jet lag to take down Team Liquid here today?
Well, IM Katowice was a pretty sad event for us. The first game, I played terribly. In the second game, I played pretty well, but we couldn't win. And so I sort of reevaluated, because I was super fed, but I did a support tanky build and it didn't really work out. So I was like, all right, I'll just try going full solo queue next time I get fed, and it worked out.
Well, kind of speaking of that, you had Warrior Enchantment, Hex Drinker, a Brutalizer, and then a Bilgewater. I mean, that's a lot of offensive items. Talk me a bit more through that mindset. Why was this the game to just go full damage on Vi?
Well, they buffed the yellow trinket, so it's more efficient than a sweeper in my opinion right now. So basically, I don't have to buy as many wards, so I just have a lot more money for items. The Bilgewater might have been a little overkill, but I just wanted damage. They had like a Mundo and Rek'Sai, so if the game prolonged, I could have switched to a Bork and just done a ton of damage. And I really just wanted to kill him. Like, at the end of the game, I always did 800 damage to Phoenix, so it's just like a lot of damage.
Yeah, you were a rather large Vi in that game. Just talk a little bit more about IM Katowice and the team morale. How is that doing now? Because that was what looked like a pretty big setback, and how are you guys going to kind of retool for the end of this LCS season? You guys are now 10-5, looking towards the playoffs.
Well, IM Katowice was rough for us. We were sort of in a slump going into that week, and then we had to deal with jet lag, not having our normal setup for practicing. So it was really hard for us, and we just weren't a good team for the event. And so we came home still kind of jet lagged. We're all sort of a little sick from all the travel, but we just buckled down and we're like, okay, we really don't want to lose. So we tried really hard and worked out.
Yeah, and now that you guys are in third place in the LCS standings, there's a TSM for COG matchup coming up tomorrow, and the loser of that game, you guys may have a chance to overtake in the standings. Who would you rather lose that game as the final question?
I don't really have that strong of an opinion about it. I think just whichever team loses isn't going to be as strong, so, I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Fair enough. Just going to see where the cards fall. Thank you very much, Meteos. Congratulations on the victory. Let's send it back to the guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you, Jad. A very quick win there for Cloud9. And really it boils down to two major things. One was the interaction between the team comps, and the second was the botched Baron attempt by Team Liquid. And that's where I want to start with the Barons, Irene.
Yeah, it looked like Team Liquid felt a ton of pressure because of the bottom lane ganks, that they wanted to do a Baron that was kind of like a desperation Baron very early on. So I want to pull that replay up on you guys' screen here, because this was something that they could have aborted at any time. It's a 4v3 that ends up happening, and Cassiopeia runs out of mana trying to get the Baron down as fast as possible. So start rolling the clip here, and you can see that Cloud9 actually has vision coverage on the top side with a pink ward, so they know that this approach isn't seen from part of it, and then they just go full on all in. Mundo is already half HP, blowing the ultimate, and this is just the engage comp. You have to force the issue immediately, and they have the front-loaded burst to get high-priority targets off the field immediately. Kallista's bottom has nothing to say in this, and even if this fight had just straggled off in Cloud9's favor, Sneaky's mid, and Lemonation also shows up to that fight at the very end. So that would have been a 5-on-4 in even the best-case scenario.
Mm-hmm. I think it was potentially doable if you disengage as soon as you see them. They have enough vision to see the approach. I think there's a chance that Baron does pay off, and when they get it, they just get to scale into the late game, but obviously that did not happen. Cloud9 got a big lead, and then we got to see C9 play the game they wanted to. And they got to play the hard engage comp, where you dive on people, you press R at a bunch of guys. And in fact, the way that C9 played the team fights was really good overall. They actually properly spaced out their ultimates. They properly locked up the right targets, and that's actually a fight I want to share with you guys because it was very well executed. If you botch the engage, C9 loses the team fight and they'll lose the game. So if we can get that clip up, I want to kind of explain the really important things here. The main ones are the fact that this is played perfectly. The Nautilus ult goes onto Kalista, forcing her to back off, which then lets the team just dogpile Phoenix. And when that happens, the most important thing is when he uses his cleanse. So it's just, all right, let's go for the hard dive. Here's Nautilus ulti, and now Kalista's backing up. So instead, watch Phoenix, watch the Cassiopeia, because they're going to go right for her. And the question is, when does she get pushed on? There we go, Locket Shield is on, and right there, rooted by Maokai. And that's when she decides, okay, I've got to stop, I've got to cleanse, I've got to go and counter-engage with my ultimate. So let's roll the rest of the clip out and watch what happens now for the rest of this, because she gets locked up like everything else. Immediate Lissandra ulti that she can't react to. Didn't even have time to put down the Petrifying Gaze in the back half. And now there's no damage left. Cassiopeia is gone. Kalista's just now fighting back, but Maokai's W's back. Get the root again, get the burst damage down. And okay, Quas, the last one alive. Okay, good job, C9. You didn't focus the tank. That was what you're supposed to do. They let him stay for the last point. And then at that point, any 5-man team will kill a Mundo at 25 minutes in. So congratulations, C9, playing the comp right.
Yeah, we talked about C9 at the start, or at least you said that they kind of lack the damage. It's all front-loaded, and Meteos just went damage on top of his damage. Mm-hmm. He was like, all right, this game is not going to go past 40 minutes if we have our say in it. We're not going to let Cassiopeia scale up. And when he got the double brutalizer, he's really just putting insurance on that. And then as they got the Baron, he's like, Hex Drinker, Bilgewater Cutlass. He's really just banking on them ending it, because Cloud9, if they had messed up 1 or 2 times after that, his build is extremely punishable. So it's one of those things that he was like, we just have to kill them every time, and this game is not going to go over 40 minutes.
Yep, not much more to it than that. Cloud9 coming back strong, rebounding after their poor showing at IEM Katowice. Gotta feel good. Now keep it tuned right here, because when we come back, we'll see if TSM can keep their winning momentum rolling on, or if gravity will bring them back down to earth. The action continues in just 3.5.
Brings them back down to earth, huh?
Yeah? Are you cop?
But someone asked if he was cop?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, yo, you're high, right? And that's cop?
I was like,
yeah,
we're done here.
Cops there.
We're done here. We're rolling out.
Your shield down to Quas is already broken. He gets hit. The Ignite is completely killing the ultimate. He gets hit by Sneaky. They turn it around once again. Boy, now it's a 50-50. This is not going to be good for Team Liquid. They aren't even going to go for Baron on the side of Cloud9 either.
Careful. Kalista.
What's the flash?
Kill frontline. Kill frontline. Frontline. I'm going Cassio. Okay. Cassio. Okay, Quas. Can we get Quas? Get the picklet, get the picklet. Anyone get the picklet?
Yeah,
Anyone
I'm
get the
here,
picklet?
I'm here. I'm here. Okay, kill this guy. Good. Phantom? Oh, no. Sorry.
They going for the fight. That's a good Monsoon there, but
seconds.
he
That's
is
it.
going to get exploded. Cloud9 take down Team Liquid.